What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
School in the hood, even in some good environments, know exactly what I mean. From the minute you leave your block, your whole encounter all day in your educational system is against some security guard, some police officer, someone checking your bag, someone trying to suspend you, or somebody trying to arrest you. They have holding cells in some prisons, in some schools in New York. Holding cells, but no computers. Think about that. Think about that. So lastly, we're the privileged of our community. Most of our people will never step foot on a campus. With that privilege, we have the ultimate responsibility to put our bodies, sometimes our lives, on the front lines. It could be anything you want to do, but you have to do something. They're gonna keep killing our kids, right? So, one other thing that Dr. Strickland said, in the struggle, it never goes away, it changes form. So as it changes form, we must change tactics. The movement won't happen on Facebook. It won't happen because of a tweet. Your BA, your master's, or your PhD will not save you. We must not only know our history, we must know our history our history of resistance, right? You know? And lastly, we want justice, but what does justice mean to you? What happens if there's no indictment? What happens if it's not a jury of his peers who convicts him? What happens like the Amadou Diallo cops or many other cases where they go to trial and they walk away? What happens then? What's your commitment to the struggle, right? What's your commitment to where you're at right now? Think about that. Think about that in the spirit of Harriet, Sojourner, Fanny, Lolita, Albizu, Malcolm, Dr. King. Think about the struggle that you think about that. Think about what Frederick Douglass said. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Pa'lante, siempre pa'lante.
I want to keep all your time, but as Rosa stated, today marks the anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King in Memphis, Tennessee. And Dr. King, after his march from Selma to Montgomery, gauged the crowd. And the crowd wanted to know how long it would take for justice to come. How long must people continue to struggle? And within our context, how many black women, how many black men must die at the hands of these racist police? And Dr. King said, not long. Not long. Why? Because a lie can't live forever. How long? Not long. Because truth crushed to the earth will rise again. How long? Not long. Because you reap what you sow. How long? Not long. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. We have justice on our side. We keep fighting. This doesn't end today. My biggest fear is that we stand out here with our hoodies on, and then we forget this. All right? From 1955, when Emmett Till was murdered, to 2012, when Trayvon Martin's murdered, Rakia Boyd's murdered, Kenneth Chamberlain, this is continuing to happen. So it doesn't end. We're going to keep moving. We're going to keep marching. Let the administration know on this campus, we're tired of the racial profiling of black and brown people. Issue the demand to the administrator. Whenever a judicial matter happens on this campus, we want student representation because we don't know what you're talking about when it comes to black and brown lives on this campus. Make sure you issue that to them. And make sure you keep struggling. This doesn't end today. It doesn't end tomorrow. Justice will be served because we have justice on our side. Power to the people, y'all.
What if Trayvon wasn't a young black man? What if Trayvon wasn't wearing a hoodie? Right? What if Trayvon was wearing a hoodie? I say fuck that to that question because that's victim blaming. A skirt is not an invitation to rape. A hoodie is not an invitation to... And let me be real. The only hoods that have me feeling like I need to defend myself are white and pointy. All right? So that being said, I want to conclude by quoting Dr. King. He says in his letter from Birmingham jail, it is not a question of what kind of it's not a question of if we will be an extremist, rather what kind of extremist we will be. Will we be extremists for love or for hate? Will we be extremists for truth and justice, or the exact opposite? And that's the question I ask of you all today. As we leave this rally, what kind of extremist will you choose to be? Not just today, but on a daily basis. And so if you can't hold it down for Trayvon or the other victims of this white supremacist, capitalistic, oppressive society, there's always the future, because there will always be another fight. And I want to see you there, beside me, not in front of me, not behind me, but really beside me, because we need to work together in solidarity, not because I want to help you or you want to help me, but really our struggles are tied up within each other, right? None of us are immune from the cancer that is racism, that is patriarchy, that is oppression. So be an extremist for love, be an extremist for justice, be an extremist for those close to you in our lives, and keep fighting, don't give up.
I'm here with Rosa Clemente, and my one question for you is, what can students at Umass do to be active on campus and rally together for situations like this?
Yeah, well, definitely Trayvon Martin is a national issue, but locally there's two things happening in the state of Massachusetts that I don't know if students are aware. Massachusetts is trying to pass a stand your ground law, the same as in Florida. And they're also trying to pass a 3 strikes law. So if you're into like dealing with public policy and voting, that's something you could work on. If you're more an activist, you could get trained at our workshops called Know Your Rights that my organization, Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, puts on, but as well as the ACLU here and the legal clinic here. And I mean, I think on your campus you have to have someone that monitors the police for students to see when the arrests happen, whether they're majority white students or if black and Latino students are being racially profiled or surveilled, that students at least know what's happening. It's like forming an independent civilian complaint review board that a lot of cities have. Massachusetts the students here at Umass could at least demand that they have representation at those meetings. So just some practical things.